As you know, we have a new government. We are in the second year, and we have some news to share about you. First of all, I would like to show you some information about Brazil. Brazil is a very big country, and we have a GDP of $2 trillion and a population with 210 people living in our country. And some information about the telecommunications. In Brazil, we have 8 in 10 Brazilians is connected. 74% of the population on a smartphone. I think it's a very good mark. And Brazilians surf the web for more than 9 hours a day. And we have a very connected people, and we are the 4th in mobile app download in the ranking, behind China, USA, and India. Video streaming grew 135% in the last 4 years. 86% of the Brazilians watch online videos. We are the 3rd YouTube watch time of the world. So we have a very large connected population in our country. And it's very important for us because we need connecting people. We strongly believe that the digital transformation is very important for us. And we have some information about the government. For example, we have treating the responsibility of fiscal and taxes, and we are reducing the expectation of uncontrolled debt. That was a problem that we have in the past, but we are dealing with this problem right now. And the way that we are facing this problem was allow the interest rate to be brought to the unprecedentedly low levels. If you look here in this graph, we have the government gross debt projection to January 2020. It's the lowest mark in the last few years. So that's the reason that we are doing some infrastructure reforms. For example, I would like to show you some information about these structural reforms. First of all, end of interest rate discrimination. The Brazilian National Development Bank, BNDES, no longer practices interest rates subsidized by public debt. Labor reform, and some news. End of mandatory union tax. Greater negotiation freedom between employer and employee. It's very important because we have a very anti-regulation in this sector. We approved the pension reform. It's very important for us. And we have minimal retirement age setting because we have a population getting older and older. Change in the calculation of retirement to the international standards is very important as well. The Economic Freedom Act is very important for you because we are reducing the bureaucratic requirements for small business and small buildings. Deadline for public agencies to issue to the necessary licensing to entrepreneur with a deemed granting rules. And it is important to know that Brazil has started the process to accession in the OECD. In the last 3 weeks, we create a specific secretary to deal with this. More, tax reform. In Brazil, it's in progress, the tax reform. We believe that we will approve this tax reform in this year. And some marks. First, unify 5 different taxes into one only tax, the VAT. Change the tax collection place from the source to the destination. It's very important. And simplify and harmonize the income tax rules. Another one in progress as well. Administrative reform, some marks. elimination of stability for public servants who do not occupy a sensitive position. I am a public servant in Brazil. Actually, I am from the regulator agency in Brazil. I am from the National Telecommunication Agency, but I have stability. But in the few weeks, years, I will not have my stability anymore. It's good because I think I am a very good public servant, but I have colleagues that they don't. But they have stability, so they continue working, making the bad work, and no one can kick them off of the government. So it's a very good for us, even for me, if a public servant. But I think it's very important to make some efficient changes in Brazil. And of automatic salary increases based on the length of the service time, and the creation of a clear performance criteria with rigorous evaluations. And that's more important is the digital transformation strategy in Brazil that involves the transformation within the government. We have digital government in Brazil. We are digitalizing the public services. The population now have access to the service of the government in digital platform. And the transformation in the economy. There are 5 bases: infrastructure, R&D and innovation, trust, education, and international. And I will tell you about connectivity, institutional reforms, technology and inclusion in education as well. The digital transformation strategy in Brazil is a 4-year plan, and we are in the 3rd year. We have 10 actions to pursue in these 4 years. And we have this program called Conectes Brasil, or Conecta Brasil in Portuguese. It's a program inserted in the digital transformation strategy. It is supported in 4 pillars. The first one, institutional reforms. Now we have 2 peer reviews from OECD, one of digital transformation and another one in telecommunication and broadcast services. Another one is a new legal framework for telecommunication. I will explain more about this in the future. Sectoral tax reform, facilitating infrastructure deployment. That's very important for you because of the data centers. And the second pillar is connectivity. We have North and Northeast connected. It's a program. I will explain more about this. GSAC is another problem using our satellite. 5G auction, data centers, public policies. And the last one is technology. We are investing in 4 environments, 4.0, cities, industry, health, and agriculture. I will explain more about this. Digital inclusion, AI, IoT, and cybersecurity. First of all, I would like to highlight the sectoral reform in telecommunication. In Brazil, we have a concession model that was focused on fixed telephony. This is a model that no longer works anymore in the world, and it's expensive and was not suited to the needs of Brazil. With the change, we started to prioritize broadband in order to reach the entire population as well as productive rural areas and highways in Brazil. In short, concessionaires will move from a heavier regulatory regime to a lighter one, being obliged to make investments established by the government. So we have a concession, and we are allowing to these concessionaires move to the authorization regime. And the difference between the business model has to be paid in investment in the sector. What kind of investment? Connectivity, connectivity, and connectivity. We have to connect the whole country. We have to put fiber optics in the north of Brazil. We have to improve our telecommunication infrastructure. And so, as I said, we have 4 pillars here. And first one is broadband. We are focused in broadband right now. In the past, we were focused in fixed telephony. And the spectrum, it's a new rules. We allowed successive renewal of our radio frequency authorization. In Brazil, in the past, we just allowed one renewal. Now you can have a long-term business model and continually renewing your RF authorization. And we are allowing the resale of frequency in Brazil as well. The bureaucratization, simplification of tax compliance and requirements, technical project exemption. We are taking off these the needs. Simplify procedure for satellite exploration. Brazil was the only country in the world that do auctions for satellite authorization, and we are not doing this anymore. Broadcasting, it's very important sector in Brazil. Radio and TV broadcasters do not need to contribute to the universal fund to telecommunication services. Another information about the General Data Protection Law. We adopted in August 2018 and expected to enter into force in August 2020. It's a law strongly inspired by the GDPR from you and by OECD Privacy Framework. This law seeks to find a balance between respect to privacy, information, self-determination, freedom of expression, consumer rights, etc., and technological and economy development, competition, and innovation. We are creating the authority who is going to be in charge of this General Data Protection Law. I think this year we will have this authority created in Brazil. The next one is about the regional providers. Regional providers are very important for Brazil. They have been responsible for the expansion of the fixed internet in the countryside. All the providers together are now, as you see, bigger than the biggest telephony operator in Brazil. In recent years, we have begun to notice a merger and acquisition movement between them, which makes them even more relevant. If you see the gray mark here, you can see the growing of these operators in Brazil. They are in the countryside the most of the time. Another one is about our satellite. We have our own satellite, the Defense Geostationary and Strategic Communication Satellite System. We consist of a constellation of 3 satellites. We have one right now, and we are planning to have 2 more satellites. The first satellite was launched in 2017, and steering committee and executive group of the SSGDC, is the name in Brazil, to be fixed by decree. We are very close to approve the decree to create this steering committee. Progressive participation of Brazilian industry in laboratories in development, manufacture, and testing is the importance of this satellite. I will tell you about what we are doing with this satellite right now. We are using this satellite to connect the remote areas in Brazil. As you know, Brazil is so big, we have different problems and we have different solutions to connect the whole country. And we are using this satellite to connect, for example, schools and rural areas. And this year, we installed 1,000 points with these satellites, being 9,000 schools in rural areas. More than 2.5 million connected students just in 1 year. It's very important for us because this satellite can cover whole country. It's the only one satellite in covering part of Brazil that covers whole country. That is the design of the beams of the satellite. The another project that we are working now is the Connected North and Connected Northeast. This is the north of Brazil. Each one of these highways is in the river, in the Amazon River, and we have the expectation to put almost 5,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable in 2 or 3 years in the Amazon River. This black one is already constructed, and the next one is the blue one, this one. We have a model that we will use the private operation to maintain the infrastructure, because we think that sharing infrastructure is the best way to deal with this in Brazil. The government will build the infrastructure, and the operators will maintain the infrastructure, as I said. The another one is the Connected Northeast, and we are using the fiber optic of the energy concessionaires in Brazil. The yellow one is working right now, and we are working in the red one. In this year, we will connect almost 20 cities important in the countryside in the northeast of Brazil. I would like to talk a little bit about the national IoT plans. We have a study from the National Development Bank in Brazil. They say that in those 4 areas, we will have a very good results. For example, cities in Brazil, if we will invest in IoT, we will return from $3 to $27 billion in 5 years. Health and max from $2 to $39 billion, and rural areas $2 to $21 billion, and industry $11 to $45 billion in 5 years. And we are investing in those 4 areas in Brazil. I would like to highlight the smart cities because I am the coordination of the Chamber of the Smart Cities. And we launched the chamber in December of the last year. And this is coordinated by the Ministry of Science, Technology, Innovation and Communication, is my ministry. And the Ministry of Regional Development is responsible for the cities in Brazil. And in this technical forum, we will discuss smart cities with participation of another ministry, private sector, industry, academy, and anyone else that want to participate. That's the model. I won't take time with this, but we are using this methodology. Is the methodology of UN and ITU, and we are now studying the KPIs, and then we will put in a system. The municipalities will give us information about the cities, and we will have a plan to the whole country. Because in Brazil, you have very isolated case of success in smart cities, but we want to have a whole country connected, and we have a whole country with connected cities and smart cities. Another one is the artificial intelligence strategy that we are working on. We are elaborating the Brazilian strategy for AI at this moment. We are a public consultation, open it if you want to participate. The idea is assessment of social and economic impacts, proposing policies that maximize the positive effects and mitigate potential negative effects in Brazil. We have some dimensions in this public consultation: is economic potential, R&D and innovation, professional qualification, ethics and regulation. And we are investing in centers for artificial intelligence. We had a call for proposals aiming at the creation of national AI research centers in the past days, and new proposals will be appreciated until May 2020. I'm almost finished because I don't have time anymore. and I would like to highlight quickly some points. The first one is the sectoral tax reform. We are studying the reduction for IoT and VSATs in Brazil. We know that we have a very high taxation in IoT, and we have to put this taxation into zero. And this TFI and TFF and CFRP is another taxation that we are changing right now. This is very important for you. It is facilitating infrastructure deployment. In Brazil, we have to install a lot of antennas, but we have some difficulty with the municipalities. And we are launching a presidential decree about this. And in this decree, we will clarify the rights of way charging prohibition in the roads, in the railways. It's a big problem in Brazil. About the deeming granted rule, definition of small infrastructure, because in the 5G we will have small infrastructure in everywhere to license exemption, and we will adopt the DIG1 policy to put infrastructure in the highways. About data centers, at least, but not least, some measures, non-tax measures and tax measures. I will explain very fast. Non-tax measures is definition of a legitimate facilitating agent for attracting investments in data center. Priority customs treatment in the case of import of goods destined for data centers. We are working and this changing. Flexibility of equipment certification and homologations requirements by Anatel, my agency. Definition of limits on operational accountability of data centers. That's some non-tax measures that we are working. And some tax measures are tax breaks for equipment, services, and civil works used when investing in data centers, especially importation tariffs. Reduction of energy costs, facilitating the classification as a free consumer that you can use just right now. I think the Amazon will use this model. Depreciation and full accelerated amortization of machinery and equipment in the year of acquisition. My last slide is about the 5G auction in Brazil. We will have the auction in this year. We will have the biggest auction for 5G in the world. That is the spectrum bands, I won't explain, and we will use the auction to connect country in another band of frequencies. For example, we will put the obligation to services to location with more than 600 inhabitants with 5G. We will put obligation to coverage of federal highways with mobile broadband. Fiber backhaul for unserved municipalities. Solutions for TVRO users because we have some conflicts with TVRO is broadcasting, and asymmetric regulation to protect and support new entrants like the regional providers in Brazil. So I have no more time. I would like to say thank you one more time to listen to me and say thank you.